So here you will see Shreyaha, Preyaha has been discussed. Shreyaha and Preyaha. Shreyascha, Preyascha. So there are two things that have been discussed. And then these are wide apart. Avidyaya Mantare Vartamana. And it talks about the methods and the impossibility of attainment by the minds which are engaged or stooped in the worldly experiences. That has been talked about. And then it said that by mere intellectual deliberation, we may not be able to discern. Discern means to know the ultimate truth. Tarka. Tarka cannot be deployed for establishing the proof of concept. The proof of the concept lies in the mandate, the very mandate of the object itself. The object itself is a object. What? Which object are we trying to say? We are trying to talk about the Brahman, the Atman. Durdarsham, it's difficult to see. The scripture makes things simple, but not simpler. If you make things simpler, then you are not going to achieve anything big. But it should be made simple in the sense that unnecessary complication should be avoided. So the scripture doesn't go and say, oh, this is readily available for everyone. Why do you think people are not experiencing the ultimate truth? This question is dealt differently here. It says Durdarsham. No doubt, it is difficult to see. There are reasons why it is difficult to see. Because it is Godha. Godha means hidden. Anupravishta means it is the subtler of the subtlest. So for that reason, it is difficult to realize. And then all the scriptures are talking about it. All the rishis are talking about it. And what is it that they are talking about? They are arriving at this one concept which is expressed by the letter Om. And what is that Om? Om is the symbol for Ishvara. Ishvara is Atma, Brahma Swarupam. And that Ishvara has absolutely no klesha, pain, karma, duty, vipaka, the results, ashayahi, there are no desires. That Ishvara is stainless, pure. When we say that your Ishta is of the form of light, what do you mean? You mean this. He has no pain, he has no expectations, he has no desires. This is the symbol of light. Light has absolutely no obstruction. It has no stain. It has no form. So that's the reason why light is used as a wonderful imagery for describing the Ishvara's form. And then Niratishayam Sarvajñatvam. But he is full of knowledge. That light is full of knowledge. That is, there is no knowledge which is denied from him. And we know how he is actually the symbol of the what you call omniscience. And he is because he is knowledgeable, he is the eternal and the supreme teacher from whom we get all knowledge. And he can be addressed by Om. So Om is the name of that Ishvara. And how to get that Om? How to, now that you know that Om is the symbol or the word, how do you approach him? Tat japaha, repetition. Repetition leads you to getting established in, when you repeat something, one of the most important thing we do is we are keeping a very good mental companion. A mental companion is created by repeating the good thoughts. So the name of the God is fully auspicious, and you are keeping the company of God by repeating the name of the God. So, but through memories, we keep companies of people. Correct? We remember our father or mother, and then live in that plane where as if they are in very close terms with us, physically also, and then we enjoy, we relish the memories. So that means you are practically during that passage of time, you are living in the company of those thoughts, or of those lively thoughts. So likewise, what can be more lively than the very life itself, which is Ishvara? Ishvara is the very life of the creation. If Ishvara is not there, this creation would have been entirely dead, maybe not there at all. So he is the very life of the creation. So when you remember, so how to remember? Om is being given as the Etaderam Alambanam, as a support. And then by repeating, you are keeping a good company in your mind. This Alambanam. Alambanam means support. It's a good Shreshtam, it's great. And then when you know this Alambanam, support, you get an entry passage into Brahmaloka. Brahmaloka, there are two aspects of it which will come in the next canto. Okay? So the lokas of the Brahmaloka was discussed briefly, and then a description about, a small description about the object of attainment, which is Brahman or the Atman. This one, Najayate, it is unborn, Namriyate, it doesn't die. It was never in the past, never non-existing in the past, and it is not going to become something. There is no modification, like milk turning into curd. Such a transformation cannot be. You can say it is not born. Okay, the milk was there from the beginning itself. You may say that, but if such a milk is there, then there is a possibility of it turning into curd. Na babhuva. It will not become anything also. So that means what? That Atman is not eternal in the sense of something being an object. It cannot be treated as an object. Ajaha, unborn, Nityaha, eternal, Shashvataha, it's ancient, Purana, ancient, Shashvataha is undecaying, Nahanyate, it doesn't kill, Hanyamane Sharire. Even when the body drops away, this Atma continues to exist. So maybe you can liken it to I always ask this question to myself, what is the nearest analogy I can give myself to understand that the body drops away, but the spirit continues to survive. In the olden days, we used to have transistors, the radios. Correct? Those radios, they pick up the frequency, radio frequency, and then they play music or voice or whatever. Right now, when the transistor goes away, does the frequency die? The frequency continue to exist. Just the transistor, another transistor will be able to pick up that. So that way, actually, this frequency radio thing is a very interesting analogy. Physics helps us to do that. In fact, people ask this question. Even Achiketa asked, for that matter, where do men go after they die? Now, for the case of a realized soul, there is no question of going and coming. Kenopanishad says that his prana atraiva viliyante. That means it gets dissolved here itself. It gets dissolved, it becomes nothing. That prana, which is causing all this various modifications in the body, up from existence to death to destruction, or the entire set of gamut of modification happening because of prana. Now, if the prana continues to be there, then it will be keeping on bringing out the modification, birth and death, and so on. So, for a realized soul, the scripture says that the prana will get dissolved. Atraiva viliyante. Na tasya prana utkramanti. That is, the prana does not rise. Rising means it rises to and goes to another loka and then comes back. When he rises there, fall will always be there. That is the law of nature. Now utkrama, it doesn't leave the body at all. Atreva viliyante, it gets dissolved here itself. But what happens to those persons who have not realized the soul, not realized the Atma? For them, this prana continues the journey. Now, continuing the journey, how does it continue? I was thinking to myself, what is the nearest analogy I can bring myself with? So the analogy will be something like, see, in the air, we have so many radio frequencies. Now, I am tuned, this entire body, mind, intellect is tuned with for certain set of frequencies, or maybe I can just club it to one frequency, okay, for simplicity. Now what happens is that at the time of my death, the transistor like body just drops away, but the frequency, corresponding frequency which I am able to exhibit, that mixes with the cosmos, with the environment, and this frequency is now looking for a transistor which is tuned to that. This frequency apparently seems to be, it can be again trapped by a same transistor which is tuned to that frequency. So that means what? This body will, after somehow it got trapped in the body. At the death of the body, what it does is, this frequency which is the soul, so to say, Jivatma, it has not gone outside the cosmos. It's pretty much within this cosmos. And then it has become one with everything. You cannot differentiate. Can you differentiate All India radio frequency in this room and then the next room? You cannot do. Again, you have the Australian channel 9 in this room as well as in that room, as well as in Sri Lanka channel 11 in this room and the next room. All the channels are available in all the rooms. But it depends on which transistor tuning to which frequency, it is able to replace the corresponding signal. So you need an instrument to trap the frequency, and that instrument to trap the frequency is called the yoni. That yoni is there, the garbha. It so happens that the being which possesses the garbha is a female. So in that garbha, the jiva goes and then gets trapped. So imagine there is frequency everywhere, and then in the garbha there is one transistor which is tuning to one particular frequency, and it is able to play that song. Wherever the frequency, wherever the tuner is there, it will be able to trap the frequency, waves. It will be able to trap the waves. So the garbha is trapping one jivatma. And for every jivatma, there is a corresponding garbha. Just as the way every signal has a corresponding frequency orientation, association, in a very vernacular sense, every soul, according to the karma, it has got its appropriate garbha in which it will manifest. So, till that garbha is produced, is created, or is available, the jiva will be there, intermingled in the entire cosmos. He will be everywhere. Jiva will not, just as the body is located here, but the body goes away, this dhyana gamyanda will be everywhere. It will be everywhere, but with the hope of getting one garbha. Why? Because prana is functioning. Because of the prana's functioning, it is always anticipating for some garbha to be made available. And that state is a state of health. That is a state of health. Longer it has to wait, longer and more painful will be the experience.
There is no limit of waiting.
There's no limit. There's no limit. It can wait to eternity also, unfortunately.
Unless and until it finds
One garbha, yes, it has to. The properly oriented garbha.
How this orientation happens?
Because by their karma. Because the garbha, Yoga Shastra says, every jiva has got a definition in terms of jati, species, ayu, the lifetime, bhoga, the quantum of experience. These three are determined at the time of birth. So those three is your lot. What is to be born as is your lot. How long you are going to live is your lot. And what kind of experience you are going to go through is your lot. So combined to that, an appropriate garbha will have to be created. For instance, if my fate is that I have to be born as a pig, there may be human garbha, but I will not be able to use it. Because my fate is to be born as a pig. So I will be waiting for some pig garbha. Not the pig in United States, where people pet the pig in the house. In other places, we know what is the status, poor status of the pig. So I will be born there.
and Maharaj, how is this fate?
Fate is done by your karma. Whatever you do now, that is amounting to you the impression that you are going to create as a fund for the future. It's a fund for the future. So this waiting, my friends, is really scary. That's why it says, Vivekachudamani, first shloka, Jantunam, among all the species, Narajanma Durlabham. It is very difficult to get human birth. Only very, very refined mind, intellect, and karma, very good karma, alone can fetch them human birth. But then you will see evil people, but still, from the perspective of the amount of goodness they have, the evil is only temporary. Temporary. It's just that they are manifesting evil, more and more of that. But if they continue to do that, there are enough pigs to host them in the next month. That's why it says, Jantu Nam Narajanma Durlabham. So, and after having got that, let this life not be wasted away in the hands of the nature. So that's why we are now sitting in Vivekananda Study Circle class and studying Kathopanishad.
Maharaj, I have one question.
Yes.
What is the meaning of control?
Katha, no, that no. Some of these words don't have any. Say Mundaka Upanishad. Mundaka, actually, Mandukya, at least to some extent. Mandukya means frog. So these names have, at least a similar question I too asked my teacher, and he also just waved his hand and said, they don't have any meaning. Kena Upanishad has a meaning because the Upanishad itself starts with the question. Kena, by whom? By whom all this is functioning? It's a wonderful Upanishad. Maybe after this we can take up that. So, but one Upanishad has got a wonderful meaning, like Kena has a good meaning, and Taittiriya, Shikshavalli, Bhriguvalli, Anandavalli. Those Vallis have a wonderful meaning. Valli is actually, in Sanskrit, means a creeper, Lata. Now, that Valli it's a specific creeper which my teacher told that it is grown in the deep woods of Kashmir. They grow in the deep woods of Kashmir. And this has got a wonderful property that during the daytime, it traps the sunlight. And in the night time, they glow. They glow in the night time. So, these Upanishads, they give truths like sunlight, and the mind like Valli should take it up, and then in the dark quarters of our existence, our ignorance is dark quarters. In that, these Upanishadic truths should be reflected again as, the brilliant phosphorescence. Basically, phosphorescence. Brilliant phosphorescence should happen within the mind, warding away all the darkness. So, that Valli word is used for Taittiriya. And Taittiriya comes again from Titiri birds. And why Titiri birds? Why not Garuda? Tough to say. I think the origin of these names goes to such antiquity that we just have to give only the value of it being a noun.
Is there any time frame for that, when it was recorded or when this Upanishad was delivered?
It's Vedic age, they say. Entire Upanishad got finalized in Vedic age. That is sure. But Vedic age, to date the Vedic age, there are a lot of Indians say that, it is more than how much? 5000 BC? More than 5000 BC. But history has got nothing to do with us because the present is too busy, and history is. See, the thing here is a truth which is eternal should not really bother us about the format of the truth. The format of the truth is just for a presentation, that it is there in the form of mantra or in the form of a text or in the form of some sound. These are the formats. As long as we want to grasp the truth, the format should be of a lesser concern. So the 6 modifications, and then we went through that. If the killer thinks that he is killed, or if the person who is killed thinks that he is killed, both of them don't know, because I'm not this body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect. If you go on questioning, we will find that we will come to such a such a object which is a common factor of the existence, and that common factor cannot behave like an object again, because we will have regress ad infinitum then. You will never be able to end this questioning. But you can always ask this question: should there be an end at all? That question can always come. If you have a series of questioning, you can say, I will go on questioning, go on questioning. Should there be an end to the question at all? What necessitates the end for a question? What necessitates? Like just for instance, you see an effect. What is the cause of it? Okay, you give one cause. Then that cause is also an effect. If they examine the cause of that cause, keep on examining, keep on questioning. Somewhere it has to stop. We say that. But then somebody will come and say, what is necessary to stop? It can go on. So much so that it can even be cyclic. These are all called kutarka. Counter to tarka, counter to logic. It's not argumentation, it is counter argumentation. So the question here is, you think that this is an endless questioning? Yeah, obviously this is an endless questioning. It will never come to an end. Okay, then fine, leave it. Go through 100,000 births. Go through 100,000 births. You will again come back to me if you happen to meet. Sir, is there any end to this? You yourself will ask this question. The same person who 100,000 births before said that this has no end, this has to be cycling like this. After 100,000 births, he'll come and say, I am tired of all these births because of their past experience. He's having accumulated experience. Every birth experience is there weighing heavily down upon his soul. And then he'll be tired of it and say, will there be any end to this? That time, then he will be pointed to, and then he has to join IIT and attend the Vivekananda research. Then another Amukananda will come and take one class. Anoraniya, this fellow is smaller than the smallest and the bigger than the biggest. The ultimate truth that we are contemplating on. And it is quite a paradoxical. The reason is why Anoraniya Mahatomayan, Jantasya Nihita Guhayam, Akratuhu Pashyati Vita Shoka, and Asino Duram Vrajati. These are all paradox. Why paradoxes are given? For the simple reason that don't use your traditional training in reasoning to contemplate on these things. In order to contemplate on the Atma, don't use your traditional reasoning at all. Typically in statistical analysis, there is something called null hypothesis. Correct, na?
Yeah.
We have to, with null hypothesis, what will you do? You have to reject it. You cannot prove it. Null hypothesis is meant only for rejection. So, what is the null hypothesis of this world? How do you establish the alternate hypothesis? Or at least the relevance of the alternate hypothesis? Whatever be it so. Then you will have to define what your null hypothesis is. So, what is the null hypothesis as far as this world is concerned? What will you say? What will be your hypothesis? This world is joyful. This world is everything. The do-all, end-all of our existence is in this world only. This will be null hypothesis. Because you are going to reject each one of those statements when you do a proper analysis. But you cannot prove it. You cannot prove the Atman. But you can reject all the null hypothesis on the reading of the Atma, lesser readings of the Atma. There is some ultimate reality. This world is ultimate reality. There is something which is all powerful. This world and nature is all powerful. There is something which is all expansive. This world and its nature is all expansive. Now, whatever you want to attribute to the highest Parama Purusha, the supreme reality, you attribute the same thing to the world. That will be the null hypothesis. And then, how do you prove it? You don't prove it. What do you do it? You reject it. So you say the 100,000 lives that I have taken, I am rejecting. I have not found the hypothesis to be true after having taken 1 billion lives. And therefore, I categorically reject it. In order to support that rejection, these paradoxes are given. So don't go by your rationalistic analysis. You will never be able to arrive at the Atma. Asino, Duram Rachi, sitting here and then moving everywhere. How can something be sitting and moving? Anyway, stationary waves. Wave means something should move. Stationary is not moving. How can you have stationary waves? Because you do have. But I am saying, Ashariram Sharireshu, this fellow has no body, but he is situated within the body. Anavasteshu Avastitam. Among the impermanent, he is the permanent. Something is impermanent, but how can there be something permanent within an impermanent? See, impermanent in the sense, you define an object, within a short time, the object changes. So your earlier definition is impermanent. You looked at wet clay, and the clay started scratching it, said, "You Rama, this man has seen me, now he is going to make me a pot. I am such a nice wet clay. I can blend with nature. I can melt with dissolve with water, and then happily be again condensed in sun. But now that property is gone. Because I have met this man. What he will do? He will make a shape and then throw me into fire, and he will give me a form. So the clay form is gone. That clay becoming a clay pot. There are two different forms. So clay became impermanent. But there is something which is passing through and through both the clay as well as the clay pot. And that one is the supreme. Nayamatma Pravachane Labhya. Now it says, Dhanagamyananda, how much ever you are going to lecture with Vivekananda study circle, you are not going to get. So after the classes, you go to the room and do your tapasya. So that's what is going to give you the consummation of this life. So pravachanena na labhya, na medhaya. Go on intellectually ratifying, nothing will come. Na bahuna shrutena. Go on listening. For you also same fate. If the speaker has no respite, then how can listener have? So that means all of us will have to pursue the sadhana in order to get a grasp of it. Mind has to settle on that. And then it says some caveats are given. In order to do that, you don't be avirata. No, don't engage in bad actions. If you want to be freely moving, whenever you want to, whatever comes to your mind, you want to execute. The first thing that you need to do is, no, don't marry. Whatever comes to your mind, if you want to do, you need freedom. After you marry, you cannot do whatever you want. You have to consult with your better half. Do you want also? No, I don't want. Then drop. You may comply, but you can never expect compliance. So that is on the lighter vein. What I'm trying to say is, we have to desist from evil thoughts. That is, giving freedom to thought doesn't mean that you are expressing your freedom. The reason is, in the realm of thought, you have both good and bad. And what is the control you are going to exercise within yourself, that you will not dwell on the bad thoughts and dwell only on the good thoughts. There is no guarantee in that. If you have unbridled engagement in the thought process. That's why he says, don't engage in bad contact. Desist from bad contact. Duscharitaha, na ashantaha, don't be restless. Maintain some tranquility, some placidity in mind. So, really, for example, sit here and then that little guided meditation in whichever way it is agreeable to you. Perform that meditation to yourself and then calm your mind. Shanti. Na asamahita. Your mind should be concentrated, should not be deflected. So these are all caveats. And because this knowledge is for all, but at the same time, desiring doesn't mean deserving. There is a notion, I have the right to question. RTA says, I have the right to question. Right to information means what? You are questioning. So you have the right to question. Agreed. Law says it in one way. But from a personality wise, you know what actually entails from questioning? What entails from questioning? Knowledge. Knowledge entails from questioning, provided you get the answers. You may have the right to question, but do you have the right to answer? People don't, just because they ask the question, doesn't mean that they have the right to have the answer. The questioning is your right. The answering is equally the other man's right. So, to say that I have the right to question makes very little sense. It is not even, you have not even begun the conversation. So, but you have the right for the answer. Even though we say that you have the right to question but not to the answer thereof, you do have the right for answer. You know when? When you live with the question. When you spend your energy, your life, your emotions, your hunger, your hankering, your desire behind that question, if you invest all that and live with that question, say for 1 year, then you have the right for the answer. The nature will create an ambience around you that you get your answer. And that right will be fulfilled by the nature, not by the individuals. The nature which is surrounding us, of which we are, this body is the product. That nature will create a circumstance which will answer your question. So we have to now own the right for the answer, not merely exhibit the right to question. So here, right for the answer will come if we perform all these, if we reject all these null hypotheses. This is a null hypothesis. You have to completely reject it. That means you should possess everything opposite to that. Okay, so we did this, and then that was a quick go through. So knowledge and ignorance, Shreya and Preya were given, and even though those two objectives were given, the method is not prescribed. Method and the results that ensue, therefore, and for the determination of that, the method and the results, an analogy of chariot is used. And the third canto also describes that there are two cells, as if a conglomerate. Our human constitution is a conglomeration of two cells. To begin, Vitam pibantau supratasya loke guham pravishto parame parade chayatapo brahmavido vadanti panchagnayo yecha trinachiketaha. Sukritasya ritam. Sukritasya means that job which is done well. The job that is done well is sukritam. So the job that is done well, that means it will yield some fruit. That fruit can be, that is the ritam. The sukritasya ritam, pibantau, enjoy. Who enjoys? Pibanta means drinking. Okay. Here it is allegorical. Allegorical in the sense that there is an enjoyer of the fruits of actions. Now we are going to ask this question: who is that enjoyer? I am talking, you are listening. I open my eyes and I see people in front of me. Now the question is, who is listening and who is seeing? Ken Upanishad, same Same thing comes here. So question here is Pibantau, the two enjoyer. There are enjoyers. Tau means dual. So that means there are two persons. But let me go ahead. This fellow is Guham Pravishtaha. He is hidden in the what is called the cave of the heart. It's also called as Buddhi Guha. See, Buddhi, Hridayam, and Guha. These three words you can take it synonymous. In scriptures, these three are used to emphasize one particular mode. When Buddhi word is used, then rationality is emphasized. When Hridaya word is used, then emotion is, feeling aspect is emphasized. Guha word is used, then the seat where it is, where I'm sitting here, the seat aspect is emphasized. All three are same. All three are same. So, Chaya tapo yet Brahma vido vananti panchagni yecha trinachiketaha. Brahma vidaha, those who are known Brahman, and Panchagni, there are some rituals called Panchagni and Nachiketagni. All these people, that means those, see, when you perform the fire sacrifices, you may be wondering, fire sacrifice, does it mean that we have to put a square or put figs and then light fire? Yes. Traditionally, orthodoxically, yes. Ritualistically, that's how it is being done. By doing that, Hiranyagarbha Pravesha, in a very subtle manner, Hiranyagarbha Pravesha, you can get into the world of Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is a world of unending joy. People call heaven Swarga. The Swarga concept is coming from Puranas. Vedas don't talk about Swarga. Vedas, they talk about Hiranyagarbha. So the Hiranyagarbha Loka is a Loka where people with the desires, they go. Those people who do these fire sacrifices, they have some desire. So they go to this Brahma Loka and they enjoy. After enjoying in the Hiranyagarbha, with the Hiranyagarbha, when the Punya, bank balance, goes away, again they are born back in this mortal world. So this is the model our scriptures they put forth. Perform your sacrifice, go to the higher loka, enjoy, and then again come back. So this mortal world is only meant for you to do sacrifices and go to the higher worlds. So going to the higher world is your objective. For whom? For those people who have desires. So they are the ones who will do Panchagni, they are the ones who will do this Nachiketa Agni, and they are the ones who will do some Vaishvana Agni fires. They will do that. Now, in a contemporary sense, if you ask this question, what are these Agnis? If you find these organs that we have, eye organ, the ear organ, now these organs are also fires. These organs are also mapped to fires. Now you go on feeding this organ. You see the pleasing things, you hear the pleasing words, and then take pleasing food. You are having joy. That is Hiranyagarbha. The thing that is ensured you after your death is actually happening in your day-to-day life if you map those fires to your sense organs. Your sense organs are indeed fires. So the rishis in the past, they have done a wonderful model where you are able to map the microcosm, the human body, with the macrocosm, the entire creation. All of their analogies have got templated in this fashion. They both are made out of the same design. So what we call as the 5 fires, Panchagni is basically 5 fires. It's your own 5 organs of senses. So, but the ritual says that you perform those fires literally. When you do that, your respective organs, they also become strong, and then you get subtle powers. These organs acquire subtle powers. It gives you entry into the subtle world, and you experience some subtle pleasures, and then after exhausting it, you come back to this mortal world. Now, this can be accepted only on the evidence of what is presented in the Shastras. There is no other evidence. So that is the reason why people are conflicted. The only reason why people are conflicted, I am not able to show black and white certain things. But people who have followed, who have experienced to some extent, they have their own convictions fashioned. Some people accept, some people don't accept. People seem to be born with that constitution. That's called astikya buddhi, they say. Astikya buddhi means what? Accepting the pronunciation in the Vedas. Such people are supposed to be astikas. Nastika people say atheists. Na? Nastik means atheist, those who don't believe in God. Actually, Nastikas are the ones, those who don't believe in Vedas. According to our Shastra, Nastikas are the ones who don't believe in Vedas. Astikas are the ones who believe in Vedas. So, that Astikya Buddhi should be there, that whatever Vedas have been done, not to delude me or misguide me, it's there given to me for my own growth. See, I have tons of desire. What is the best way to fulfill them? Correct? You may always ask this question. Vedas gives you one wonderful way to fulfill those desires. Do it. I mean, you may benefit from that. It puts forth that proposition and leaves the choice to the individual. Dharma says you have to do. Don't do it, you don't get the fruit of it. Vedas is not going to cry over it. So that way, chaya tapo, but the results are like light and shadow. That is Agni, and then Trinachiketa, all these things if you do, you get some results. They are like shadow results. But Sukritasya of a Brahmavida means a man who has realized the soul. For him, that world into which he enters, it will be atapa. Tapa means it will be in full blaze, full of light. So the two worlds, the worldly man as well as the realized man. How do they enjoy the results? The difference in the enjoyment of the results is as different as between light and darkness. There is no comparison between these two guys, the enjoyment of these two guys. Yasya turijana aksharam ya brahma. By the way, the experience of a Brahmavit, okay, actually Brahmavit's experience and a worldly man's experience cannot be compared. That Ritam Pibantau cannot be actually used in the case of a Brahmavit because there is no objective enjoyment at all. Objective enjoyment is not there at all. Because when you say Piba, there must be an object. Drink what? Saliva. Saliva is an object, obviously. Water. Whatever. So there is an object for a verb. They are all transitive verbs. Verbs are transitive, at least in the way we are now referring to. So, but in that case, that way, objectively, the Brahmavit will not be getting the experience. But then Pibantau is used, the Shankaracharya says, that just because the worldly man is enjoying it objectively, the same verb is also used for the experience of the realized soul. Then Acharya Shankara uses the example of Chatrininaya. That is, a king is going and there is one umbrella, it is kept above the king. But then when people say Raja Gachanti, they will not say. Raja Gachanti, they will not say. They will say Chatrinaha Gachanti. People with umbrella are going. So Chatrinaha Gachanti here means, does it mean every person is having Chatra? But the people also get that embellishment. By that statement, they are also included into it. Chatrina gachanti means people are going, king is also going. So that's the reason, that's the Pibantau is used. The experience of the worldly man is also considered as in a similar level as the experience of the Brahmavit. So Brahmavit also is included into the experience of the objective experience of the worldly man. Okay. So that is Ritam Pibanta. Now, yes, Deturi Jananam Aksharam Brahmayat Param Abhayam Titir Param Nachiketam Shakemahi. Setu means bridge. Ija means yajna, a person who is doing the yajna, a sacrificer. Ijananam. Yaha setu ijananam, the whatever is the bridge for the person who does the Nachiketa sacrifice. Aksharam Brahma Yat Param. That the that which is the Akshara means undecaying. Undecaying. Param is supreme. And that which is supreme, that which is the bridge, and that which is supreme, Abhayam Titir Shatam Param. And what is it that you are going to reach? You are going to reach the shores which are afar from fear. That place knows no fear. Abhayam. Titir Shatam. Titir Shatam means those who want to cross. Tartum Icha Titirsha. Tartum Icha. That means who wants to cross, swim across. Who wants to cross what? To cross this world. Shakemahi. It is, we have known that which is the bridge for the Nachiketa sacrifice, and that which leads you to the shores of our fear, that we have known. That bridge we have known. Atmanam Ratinam Vidhi. Now after having spoken about the Brahman, it says that Brahman, where is that Brahman to be found now? Atma to be found now. Now the imagery of a chariot is used. The same chariot which Krishna drove, Arjuna, it is practically the same kind of an imagery, possibly inspired from Kathopanishad. Atmanam Rathinam. Ratha and Rathinam. Ratha means chariot. Rathina means the person who is sitting in the chariot. And in the chariot, there is a master who is sitting, the driver, and then the guy is sitting next to the driver. So he is the master. The driver cannot be the master. He can be if it is self-driving, if he drives for himself. But then, this person, he will be enjoying. He will be sitting and then taking the glance at both the sides, enjoying the scene, enjoying the, filling himself with the experience of the nature that presents itself. He'll be having all the delight. And the driver will be focused only on the track. So if you are driving, you cannot enjoy the ambience. So that Atma is the enjoyer. So now you understand this point. A driver cannot enjoy the ambience. So now what do you want to be? Do you want to be a driver or do you want to be the master? Which one do you want to be? The master is the one who can enjoy. Because there is this guy who will take care of the difficulties on the obstacles on the way. I don't have to worry about the obstacles because he is there. So our natural, see, the very question makes you feel that being a master is a wonderful invitation. Correct? So that's what this particular analogy is doing. It says There is no question of you wanting to be a driver or master. You are master already. You are master already. Why do you want to desire to be a master? Atmanam Rathinam. Atmanam, that which I call myself as my definition. How do I define myself? Not in the one that is caught in the hands of the nature, but the one which is the witness to all what's happening in the nature. And this entire nature is dancing only for my joy, my delight. I should not lose myself in the dance of the nature, because I am here to get the joy of this nature, and not get entangled in the nature. So Atmanam Ratinam iti Shariram Ratha. The body is the chariot. Buddhi tu Saratim Vidhi. The intellect is the person who is holding the reins. Sarathi.
The intellect is the driver.
Intellect is the driver. Correct. Intellect is the driver. Manaf pragraham. Pragrahana. Grahana means to hold. You know, you have the grahana happening. Something is catching something, right? Moon is Rahu. Rahu is catching the moon. Rahu catching the moon is called grahana. Chandra grahana and Surya grahana. So the grastam is happening in grahana, holding on and then overshadowing it. Pragrahanam here will mean a little different. What it means is it's controlling. Not holding, but controlling. It's completely, if you want to relieve, you can relieve. If you want to hold, you can hold. If you want to change, you want to navigate, you want to negotiate, you can do anything, provided you have the control. So, what is that? Mana. So, Buddhi is the Sarathi, but he is holding on, he is controlling the chariot with the reins. Mind is those reins. But the reins are connected to something else. We will come to that a little later. So, the mind is that very brittle. Indriyani haya. Haya means ashwa, horses. Indriyani hayan, ahu. So these organs are. Acha, but there is one little difficulty. If you want to drive a horse, whether we will have even number of horses or odd number of horses.
What do you if you keep odd, we can keep an income.
That is the problem. Typically, you keep even number of horses. Two to the left and two to the right. And then you have a weight hanging in the middle, so that the particular thing is stable. And then these fellows will only have to go forward. So that the entire thing. But anyway, odd number of horses. We have 5 organs. Let us add one more. Now these horses are running behind, the organs are running behind their respective objects of attraction. Can I be attracted to the object of sound? For sound you require, the object of sound is, but it cannot get attracted to sound. It can get attracted to object of sound. Yes, madam is right. It can get attracted to the object of sound, but it cannot get attracted to sound itself. It has incompatibility is there. Okay. But can the Shravana get attracted to the light? It cannot. And that's where the problem comes. Now these two, both are connected to the mind. Unfortunately, the mind is sandwiched multiply at 4 levels. At 4 or 5 levels, it is getting sandwiched by these organs. And each can demand an excessive attention. Each of them are demanding attention. I still remember during my childhood days, I was 3 years old when my sister was born. And then, as it's the nature, the parent will fondle the newly born kid. That is absolutely there. And till my sister was born, I was the newest. So, mom would cuddle me and pamper me. But then, when the new kid got born, all her attention went to that kid. And I felt extremely jealous. She would have left me and gone there, and I was doing everything to drag her attention. And then mother said, she did a wonderful thing. That is the trick the mothers play. Mothers have a wonderful, hey, this is your child. Karke dropped that baby on my lap. You also fondle. A wonderful trick. So after that, the thing went away. So, attention seekers. The sound comes and your eye is going that way. No. You come and listen to the song. You come and listen to these bird chirpings. You come and whatever. So each of these organs are attention mongers. They are literally dragging. Like just as 5 horses and have several things around, each of them, suppose whichever is the nearest, if it starts going and eating, we can very well understand the plight of the master. Right? He will never be able to, reaching the destination is a distant call. He should be happy if he doesn't meet with an accident. Typically, each of this are on a day-to-day applicable to us. We are on a every day-to-day basis just as if we are surviving. There are umpteen occasions where accidents could have happened. Not in the physical sense. Mental breakdown. Many cases are the mental breakdown. But so surprising that we are still alive and kicking. And continuing the same distracted way of life. But because of the youth power and body strength, we are able to put up with it for some time. But as we grow older, what happens is the body breaks. That's the reason why by 55 and all, people, they are not able to hold on to their discipline, hold on to the values. Things becomes much easier for them to they give explanation and justification to dilute any value for that matter. Yeah, it is possible. The reason is mentally they are not strong enough to adhere to those values. Such people will exhibit a high degree of dilution. Why? Because mind has become weak, attracted to so many senses. That's the reason why it says Indriyani Hayan. But however, those discussions will come later. Here, the only naming is being done. Hayaha, Vishayans Teshu Gochara. These organs, they go behind those objects. Atma, Indriya, Manoyuktam. That Atma, the master. Indriya, the horses. Manaha, the mind. All these together, Yuktaha. Yuktaha means the conglomeration, the combination. He is called as Bhokta. He's called the enjoyer. Body, organs and mind. But what about the intellect? Intellect is not included into the enjoyer. Mind, body and organs. These three are connected with the enjoyer. Karta. Intellect is not a bhogi. By the intellect is like a policeman who is navigating. He cannot become the traffic. So he is the one who navigates the traffic, who basically regulates the traffic. So intellect is not mixed up with this because intellect is the only help for us to relieve ourselves from this. See, this body, mind and organs form this bhoga, the enjoyer, right? But are you the enjoyer? If I ask the question, you say yes. We will know after 10 or 15 minutes, one box is going to be opened. And then Maharaj, don't you enjoy? You touch your heart and tell me. Don't you enjoy taking? I say, I do, Baba. because this is only pravachana. The pravachana has its limitation. I understand. But at least when pravachana is going, let us have the ideal perspective. Are you the enjoyer? Somebody else. I'll say, no, I'm not the enjoyer. I'm not the enjoyer. I cannot be the body. I cannot be the mind. I cannot be the organ. I cannot be the combination of all these two. Then what are you? Yeah, I am that Atma. That untainted, ever free, eternal, blissful, all knowledge, absolutely no evil, full of auspiciousness and blessing. That's me. And you compare that with this body, mind and organs. Phaltu. What kind of a proposition it is? We can say that. That's idealistic perspective. Now here it says, but how will such a realization dawn upon a soul which has spawned itself in the hands of the nature? How that realization will come? There must be some, in the conglomerate, there must be some faculty which has the freedom to dissolve. Yes or no? If everybody is bound, then how can you release yourself? Buddhi is to be used there. That's the reason why Buddhi is not included into the enjoyer. Buddhi nischayatmika. It will ascertain. Is it right or wrong? If you ask the question, depending on the training the Buddhi has got, it will say right or it will say wrong. Depending on the training. It has no feeling aspect.
Neutral.
Absolutely neutral. But the way you trained, it will assist you. So Buddhi is one faculty, is our singular hope. Yastu Vijnanavan.
How that training channelizes the business? Like an example.
Very good question. How Buddhi is trained? Buddhi is trained with the memory that it can create. Memory, with the help of the memory only, Buddhi can be widened or narrowed. Memory. You do a good thing. You feel it is good. You remember that it is good. And your Buddhi is able to pick up this again for later reference. Buddhi picks up all the details from your Chitta. So, if Chitta is not there at all, then what will Buddhi do? See, they say, in Tamil they say, Chatti nala apel varum. That is, Chatti means the cooking pot. Apa is the hatha. So, you take the spoon and then dip it into the pot and lift it. What will you get? If nothing is there, you will get air. Salt, salt, sugar, sugar, air, air. So what you put, that's what you get. So by actually training the mind here, training the brain or the intellect means you keep doing good actions and you create good samskaras and you create good memories, constructive memories, edifying and elevating memories, experiences. So what happens? When something happens, mind will ask a question, the Buddhi will go back to the database and then check what it matches to. It will give you the correct thought. For instance, I was waiting for an auto. Hurriedly, I have to reach the office. I missed the morning bus. So then I thought, okay, I will go to the nearest bus terminus. And then that's about 6 kilometers away. Nearest is 6 kilometers away. So in order to reach the terminus, I'll have to catch an auto. But that was the fateful day when every auto was going with some passenger. I was not getting any free auto at all. So waited for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then you can understand the heartbeat. It goes on increasing, and then some weird forms also come. Your manager is frowning at you. You're coming late. What is this? This is not so indisciplined way of life. I was anticipating all that, and that is making me more anxious. And then, when this will come? Then, when you lose the patience, then where will you go? Where does it lead you to? You start cursing. अरे साला आज एक भी नहीं होगा. कहाँ गए ये लोग? Huh? You start cursing the drivers. For your mistake, you helplessly end up blaming and complaining about the system. That is the problem with this entire country. Politics has to be there. Government will be there. The corporation will be. Everyone will come under your curse banner. Now the difficulty here is that is the reason is that they are the memories I possess now. So that is the thing they are coming up at the most critical time when I have to maintain my. But doing that, can I make some auto man come with a free auto without a passenger? I cannot do that. Can I stop the clock ticking? I cannot do that. But in the meantime, I have expended a lot of energy and peace of mind. Why? Bad training. I have memories of all those bad thoughts. So I pull all those thoughts from inside because the situation corresponds to those thoughts only. But the situation can also correspond to another thought. What is that? Arey, what an auspicious and the lucky day. Not a single auto is going empty. Why auspicious? Everyone is having thriving business. What a wonderful day when everyone is so happy doing their business and having their, that auto is going to bring food on the plate for those people. No, if you have 100 autos going empty, is that a good thing? You may get it, immediately you will get. But at the same time, 100 people are just waiting for passengers. Now they will be wondering, where are these fellows who have gone, who are supposed to take my auto? And they will be complaining right from Modi downward. They will say that they will complain the corporations. So what I'm trying to say is training of the mind. If you have good thoughts, if you have a good feeling about others, naturally this good feeling also will surface, and you will instead of fretting and fuming, out of which you got nothing. Now you have got peace of mind, and you are become noble by entertaining the thought that there is so much of thriving business and there's so much of happiness around. There's so much of security and well-being. That also is not going to give you an empty auto, but it saves you from all the unwanted expenditure. And when you face your boss, that guy will be angry, but he will look at your placid state of mind and he will say, acha, from tomorrow you come correctly. So he will cut short his curses upon you. If you go disturbed, your boss is going to show his peace of mind. He is no less. He is already a boss. Yastu vijnanavan bhavati yuktena manasa. We'll do it last. Yastu vijnanavan bhavati yuktena manasa sada tasendriyani vishyani. Yastu vijnanavan bhavati ayuktena manasa sada. Caveats are put first. And then the proper things are put. This is what is called as, in Vedanta, positive and contrapositive. What is that? Okay, it will come. Yastu vijnanavan bhavati ayuktena manasa sada tasya indriyani avashyani dushtashva iva sarathehe. That is, a sarathi who is having very, very ill-trained horses, not tamed. Dushtashva means untamed horses. I mean, he can forget. He is not going to at least he is not going to take the horses back to the stable. Let him go to dogs. His horse also is going to suffer in his hands. That is Dushtashva. When the Indriyas are not in control, when the sense organs are not in control, they are like horses which are untamed. And he is compared to a person who is not having the trained intellect. Yastu avijnanavan. He is called avijnanavan. He has no intellect. Buddhi nahi hai unka. Buddhi nahi hai matlab the buddhi is not well trained. Ayuktena, he is not concentrated. He is not yoked to discipline. Manasa ayuktena. My mind, he is not disciplined at all. So, buddhi is not trained well, and mind not oriented properly, and organs are running helter-skelter. This moment in Rasagullah, next moment in some speech or songs, or another moment in some happy things to touch, and so on and so forth. 5 organs are there. Tremendous, opportunities for enjoyment. All these are attractive, but everything has its own space and time. Moderation makes you enjoy for a perpetually longer time. Dushtashva iva sarate. Such a person is not going to have a peaceful journey. Abhignanavan bhavati. That means he loses his intellect. Intellect का एक ही गुण है विचार. Vichar is the only lakshana of intellect. So avignanavan bhavati means he loses the vichara. Next one is, let us do the next one, and then maybe another 2 also we can do. Yastu vijnanavan bhavati. That is, a person is vijnanavan, he is possessed of intellect. That means he has discrimination. Yuktena manasa, mind is well disciplined. Indriyani vashyani, the organs are in control. Sadashva iva sarate, like the tamed horses of the chariot. So one is negative. The first one is negative, and second one is positive. Yastu avignanavan bhavati amanaskaha sada ashuchi. Sada ashuchi. He is never clean. Now, cleanliness is something which is not external, but it doesn't exclude external also. It is necessary that it should be, external cleanliness is necessary, but there is internal cleanliness also necessary. Just as the way this fellow waiting for the auto, he is an officer with tie, suit, but and externally, he is well dressed, but internally burning. That the auto has not come for him, and he is complaining and blaming internally. So that is not Shuchi. Shuchi here means at every point in time. It's a very good exercise. You can try that. That's why methods are given. This entire canto is about delineating methods. So here it says Ashuchi, the difference between Ashuchi and Suchi, difference between Manasa Yukta, Manasa Ayukta, the difference between Sadashva and Dushtashva, and Vijnanavan and Avijnanavan. So these differences are to be paid attention, and one should be rejected, the other should be ascertained or acquired. So Shuchi aspect is a very, very important aspect. Extremely important. The man is what he thinks. The man is what he thinks, not what he dresses or what he eats, or what, to some extent what he speaks, but not just what he speaks. There are smooth talkers everywhere. So, but he cannot hide from himself. He can hide from the entire world, but he cannot hide from himself. That's a wonderful saving grace. It's a saving grace, because a point will come when I am tired of my own dramas, and I will have to release myself from the prison walls that I have created for myself. I will have to release myself, and then Buddhi will come and tell you, see, now you are tired of all these things. It's because of all the junk that you have acquired for yourself. Welcome, sir. It's all because of this junk, and you will have to release yourself from these clutches. And how do you do it? Shuchi, the purity. And purity here means sincerity, a thought which is constructive for the self as well as for the collective, and which doesn't weigh upon your soul as a regretful experience. That is something which we have to worry about. I mean, be careful, not worry about, be attentive about. That we never get into the realm of regrets.
Then what is Buddhi and Viveka's uniqueness?
Yeah, there. So Viveka is the expression. Buddhi is the instrument.
Then what Buddhi tells is that Viveka.
Yeah, if through Buddhi we demonstrate Viveka. Viveka is demonstrated through Buddhi. So now, but Viveka, it's not something which I can purchase with a check, $1 million check, 10 kilos of Viveka. Cannot do that. It's a tough lesson learned. Tough lesson learned. But again, education comes in two ways: one through experience and another through values. The moment you have value education, how do you see value education? You see someone else suffering for the mistakes, and you learn from that. That's why in the family, if you find the brothers and sisters, there is a lot of learning going among themselves. One child will get beating. You see the other children, everyone will come online because they are worried that they will also get the same beating, and then they will correct themselves. This is value education.
In the class also sent me.
So otherwise, there are people still they don't open their eyes, but that way we are only losers. So this guy, he looks at others' mistakes and he finds that their life is leading to regret. I could have. I've seen one professor. This professor. I don't know. I don't want to take the name, but he would be happy listening to his name in the YouTube. Nevertheless, so this professor said, "Oh, had I only known about Ramakrishna Mission when I was in the early 20s, I would have taken this. How I did not come to know about this institution." He was by then 68. It was too early realization.
Professor Amis is Swami.
Mm-hmm.
Is he?
No. He's a Bengali. The one who I'm referring to is a Bengali. He is the person, but he is an achiever. In his own right, he is an achiever. He is the first laser scientist of our India, of our country. He brought laser research to India. And his work and all were very celebrated. But then he came in contact with us, and if only, I regret what I have done. I should have come. See, now suppose there is a youngster, my own say department student. If he happens to be nearby, and then observing this conversation that I had with this professor, what he would think? So this professor, even after so much of attainment, is now living in the realm of regret. So there is a non-zero probability that I will also get into that. I mean, if he gives a unbiased thinking, he can look at one way of working and another way of working, and then at least he gets two choices to be selective. So what I'm trying to say here is the others' mistakes becomes a kind of a learning for us. That's the value learning. What you are not getting the format of it, but you are getting the value of it. You're getting the value of it. You're just importing the value into your constitution. But to stay true to the values is tough because your brain knows the value, but your muscles, your nerves, your bones, your blood vessels, they don't know the value. Because these blood vessels and then bone marrow, they were all created by the previous state of mind. So the body will reject, but mind will quickly adopt values. That's where the conflict comes. So your body will have to now be trained. Most of the time, the inertial component in the constitution, which is body, pulls us down, doesn't allow us to settle on a value. So Shuchi aspect is a very, very important aspect, that mentally at least let us take a vow that mentally we will not engage in any evil thoughts, any thoughts which is divisive. Let us not antagonize ourselves, let us not antagonize the world, and let us try to have moderation in our thought process. And we know whenever we have a thought, whether it aggravates my elemental tendencies. I have certain thoughts. For instance, there are certain stories which if I remember those stories, they're all real stories. If I remember those stories, I will instantly become volcanic. I will instantly become volcanic. I'm not able to till, settle scores with those stories. I'm not able to settle scores. But it will take time. But then it will be my mistake if I dwell on those stories.
What do you do?
I don't dwell on it. I just shove it under the carpet. To clean the room, there are two ways: throw the dust outside or under the carpet.
But under the carpet,
For the time being, it will come above the carpet. By the time I will become strong enough, and then see, some guests are coming. Okay, at the time, will you go to an elaborate cleaning? You will not do that. You immediately just push it up and then present yourself. Maybe 2-3 hours, the guest is there. Once he goes away, and then you say "Happa," and then start cleaning. So likewise, so when it comes now, I know, but I have other things engaged. I'm taking class, maybe here. I cannot express that. So what I'll do, I'll look at you later. I'll push it under the carpet.
Will you put a book
A budke, yes. I will dig it and then put it below the ground also sometime. But they are likely to surface. Nothing is hidden from our conscience. Nothing. It is going to come, and I will have to face and answer all those questions and queries. I will have to. That is why the chuchi is very important. Let us get into the habit of giving a edifying and an elevating interpretation for our own circumstances, mental circumstances. Let us give an interpretation. There is no finality objectively. It's all in the interpretation. Our experiences are all hinging on the interpretation. For instance, I'll tell you, there are some people who say, I have stage fright. Okay. Actually, that word fright, which is coming from the word fear, is an abuse. Is an abuse of the terminology. You are not afraid. Frankly speaking, you are not afraid. Nothing runs in your brain. At that time, nothing runs in your brain. You are not able to tell anything because nothing runs in your brain. It's not that you are being caught by fear. You use a wrong terminology, and then you fight against an unknown enemy. If your enemy is real, then your fight is fruitful. That is the reason why statement of the problem is as important as the problem itself.
Then what that actually?
It is actually hesitation.
I'm not sure, sir. Actually,
See, I'll tell you, fear is that particular experience which actually poses a threat for your existence.
So
Fear is a see, they say na, bhaya and lust, kama, and then desire, and then hope. These are all connected with our existence. And fear is that which is touching your existence. For example, if the earth is going to quake here, that instant
sir, I think it's
under your grip.
Maya of embarrassment. Actually, I have gone through this because
No, it's not that everyone have gone through this.
it's a Maya of embarrassment. Right? See,
There is no fear. No. Okay. Let me listen to you. Let me listen to you. Let me listen to you. Yeah.
Story a little. So I was about to give my private camp 20 years ago. At that time, I was thinking, I was thinking, but my friend told me that he finished his collection a couple of days ago. He used to go to Ramakrishna or Ramakrishna every weekend. Harshananda's lectures. He said that he saw a caption on the T-shirt that when you want to speak the truth, there is no fear. He just mentioned that at point of time. Even now, I keep telling a lot of all the students who are is that. So the thing is that when I want to speak the truth, I don't have fear. I don't need to worry. I don't need to fear embarrassment. If the fear that okay, do I tell something wrong? Do I utter something wrong? Will I be embarrassed for not telling the right thing?
Not just embarrassment. You see, fear is connected with punishment. There is a punishment which, for instance, I am giving an interview. I am giving an interview. Now I am at the same time entertaining the other option in the mind that I may not get the interview. I may not pass the interview. I may lose. Now losing is not an embarrassment. It is a crisis. It's an existential crisis. For me, I go forward, I go backward. So that give you fear is okay. But there are some people when they say, when I come to the front of the people, I'm not able to talk. There's something which chokes my throat. And then say, I have stage fright, fear. They use the word, see, it's not that the fear is not there for you at all.
Your point that fear is a slightly
Exaggerated terminology. Most of the cases, when people use fear, it is only a kind of either nothing hai, isme bolne ke liye, and there is a scope of getting embarrassed, and that gives you kind of a feeling which you call it fear. And other ways, you are hesitation. See, hesitation can come through various ways. For not having the habit of talking.
Fear is an overused word.
Oh, excessively used word. I tell myself rather.
No, you're right, sir. I agree on that. But it's more fear is slightly on an exaggerated term for that particular context.
Yes. Say for the communication skills, people talk now and then, you should not have the fear. It is not. The moment you put the word fear into his brain, then it has a problem with mind. It is an association creating organ. One idea will be associated with another idea, will be associated with another idea, it goes on associating with so many things. So the moment you say fear, a host of other ideas that are connected with fear, they start surfacing. That's the reason why the problem is as important, so rather, the statement of the problem is as important as the problem itself.
How to overcome the hesitation?
No, that is simple, through practice. For instance, we are shy. We are shy of ourselves being exposed. So what you do is, people use the very traditional technology of, you talk to your mirror. We feel that we are alone. You are never alone. You have somebody with you. So create that alternate presence. Keep a mirror and then talk in front of the mirror. Make all the actions. See, look at yourself, and then understand your body language. Understand your own thoughts. You look at yourself and then talk whether your brain is ticking or not. Sometimes when you have an eye-to-eye conversation, brain stops.
So now actually what I tell the students, see, what you said exactly, yes, I did long ago, 2 or 3 decades ago. But now I tell students that one important thing, and just to have that one has to give practice. So how to practice is that now all the mobiles have a video. You just put it in front of you, and whatever that you have to deliver, whatever you have to discuss, you prepare your slides and start talking about it. Record it. Then listen to it after a couple of hours, after 3 hours later. Then you do second time practice. So regarding that, I also always give a lot of examples of Steve Jobs. I read from Steve Jobs' autobiography. Then there is a product launch out for iPhone or anything of the Apple. Apparently, he used to meditate for almost for 1 week before the event. He would not allow for 2 to 3 hours throughout the day anybody, any conversation, because apparently he would start preparing just by himself, sitting there in his office, and minimum 2 to 3 hours per day. He would practice like that. So only thing is the practice. So that will, and you can also see how you are presenting. Without practice, it's impossible. Unless you become a very like a Sienna Raw, it's a different story altogether because that comes with the experience. But practice, what you said is right. It is a practice. That's what.
Correct.
The thing is that you have to prepare very well.
Very true.
For example, I used to teach this course on research methodology course as an instrument instructor. One aspect was how to do presentations. There we tell the students that anything that you put on the slide, it's a black and white is visible. Your answer. You just have to tell yourself that whatever I just write here, I am answerable for it. So you will work towards, for example, Swamiji knows everything about it. For example, anything about how that is written, what was the context of it, everything that you would know entirely. That's how the slides have to be prepared. So, like that, there are few things.
Very true. Absolutely. There is no substitute for
practice.
knowledge. Substitute for knowledge also.
Practice.
One should know well. That's why quite often the hesitation comes because you don't know what to tell.
Exactly.
And then we give the alternate name fear, which is not fear at all, never at all. Fear actually comes to us on very, very few occasions only. Most of the time, it is only some other waywardness.
You would also read the lectures by Professor V. Balakrishnan, who was a retired faculty in physics department. He once we had something called teaching learning center.
Okay.
TLC in IIT. Once when they discussed about teaching methods. In that he gave a talk. He said that as a teacher, when you go for a lecture, he says that you should have at least 10 times of that knowledge or information that is just required for one lecture.
Correct.
That means if I have to tell something for 45 minutes of lecture, I should have had 10 times of that information, or the knowledge, or the wisdom, everything. Then only you will be able to tell, give a good description of what is being told or what.
Very true. Very true.
That's what we said, that knowledge. No? That's that much is required.
Very true. I completely agree with you.
Thank you, sir. Sorry.
No, perfectly. No, not at all. No, such conversation will help. In fact, others also will be. I'm equally inviting them to participate. So here we see that Shuchi part is a very interesting thing. That is, we have to. It is not a window dressing that we do to ourselves, but it is an inside-out rectification or a correct way of doing it. Inside out.
It seems like Sloka 5 is corresponding to Sloka 7 and Sloka 6 is corresponding
Correct.
to
Caveats. Correct. The caveats and the positives. No, both are same.
5 and 7.
Ayuktena manasa sada, yuktena manasa sada. Here ayukta 5. Here yukta. Indriyani avashyani, uncontrolled. 6th is vashyani. It is controlled.
5 is corresponding to 7
7, correct.
and 6 is to 8.
6 is to 8, absolutely. So you have both the positive way of saying and the negative way of saying. It is in Shastras you will find Satyam Vada, Dharmam Chara is being told. That is a positive way of saying. Then another way is Na Anritam. Satyam Vada, Na Anritam. That Na Anritam, don't speak false. So the do's and don'ts, as both positive and negative expressions, are being given. See, Satyam Vada means tell truth. Okay, which may hum log can tell lies also. Because the Satyam Vada does not tell that I should not speak Anrita, which is false. So that is the reason why explicitly that has to be stopped. Falsity, don't dwell on it at all. So now, when mind dwells in this, in the ideas that creates weakness and that creates depression and that takes you to wild imagination and that takes you to ungrounded reality, all these are weakening thoughts. And they are the times which are spent in vain. You are not going to get any good thing out of it. So that is the reason why the Shuchi aspect is very important. And with 8 we will stop. Yastu Vijnanavan Bhavati Samanaskaha Sada Suchihi Satu Tat Padamapnoti Yasmat Bhuyo Na Jayate. So exactly opposite of the 7. Discriminating intellect. He becomes a man of discriminating intellect who is Samanaska. Samanaska means he has mind. He has mind means what? Suppose I say you have wealth. That means you will be able to use the wealth. The wealth will be under your control. You have a dog. That means the dog should listen. Is dog having you or you having dog? So if you have the dog, then you will lead the dog. Otherwise the dog will lead you. So, samanaska, I have the mind, means what? My mind is under control. Mind being under control, how do you have the mind under control? Mind is connected to the organs. So, the organs have to be trained properly. Most of the time, we say, "Na, Arey, I feel like eating, so I go eat." Now, one person told me that every time we get a tendency to eat some sweet, there are cases when, of course, there is a lessening of calorie and you want to treat yourself the luxury of a chocolate. Fantastic. But quite often, the gut bacteria is demanding that excess dose of calories. You are feeding the gut bacteria by giving yourself the luxury of sweets. You are not enjoying, but they are enjoying. Huh? For that, I have to spend 20 rupees. No, this is different. This is prasadam. So, tad padam apnoti, the result is given there. Tad padam apnoti, he attains that goal. What is that goal? Of which he will not be born again. Why this born? See, the not being born again. I am happy being born. What is the problem of not being born? If you ask this question, then this sloka will not be for him. It is only for that person who says that I have taken this 1 million births. There is something which is missing. There some moral of the story is eluding my grasp. I am doing the same thing repeatedly every day. My mind is not contained within this realm of experience. There is something which is furthermore. And I want to inquire. The moment you get that urge, that question, then that goal becomes relevant. So that is the reason why our Shastra is not an indoctrination. Our Shastra is never asking something to be done mandatory. It leaves the choice. The Shreya Preya, it left the choice with you. You are happy with the Preya, very well enjoy. You will go up to Hiranyagarbha, have all your joys fulfilled. But you have to come back again and then continue your life process. So that is already taken for granted. I don't have to put my extra superhuman energy to establish that fact. But you require extra superhuman energy to establish the fact that there is a goal beyond, and there is a state where it doesn't lead me to the continuous cycles of birth and death. How do continuous cycle? Birth alone gives my identity. Then will I die? Will I cease to exist? If that question comes, then the Shastra comes and tells you are going to give up your lesser identity and acquire a global identity. How it is to be just an Indian citizen, call yourself as a global citizen. Calling oneself as a global citizen is an invitation. Correct? Being an Indian citizen is very narrow. There is a choice, we will prefer the second. So from an individual existence, you will be going to a universal existence. So your joy will be multiplied, your experience of existence will be multiplied, your knowledge will be multiplied. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Oh, this fellow is gone somewhere.